Generational Fame by Joshua Harvey. I had never listened to David Bowie's single Fame before doing research for this poster. I hadn't even heard the album Young Americans, in which the song came from. Can I still use the word fame to describe a musical artist that came well before me? To be fair, I always knew the name David Bowie, even though I was never familiar with his music growing up. Bowie's just an iconic name that I heard several times, and all I really knew about him was that he made music, though I did not know what kind of music. Now that I'm older, I know I'm more aware of who David Bowie is and the influence he's had on countless other musical artists to this day. I know that Bowie is a legend of rock and roll whose flamboyant music and style continues to live on in artists such as Lady Gaga, Jay-Z, and many others. How then did David Bowie's fame and music transcend to the younger generation of music listeners? Well, I cannot speak for an entire generation of music enjoyers, but I can share the story of how I first began listening to David Bowie's music. The first time I heard a David Bowie song was when I was in a movie theater in the summer of 2012, when Moon Age Daydream was played in the middle of the movie Guardians of the Galaxy. Instantly after watching Guardians of the Galaxy for the first time, it became my favorite movie, and it has been my favorite movie ever since. I fell in love with the characters, the comedy, the heart, and of course the music. Following my first viewing, I found the soundtrack on Spotify and began listening to it on repeat. For the most part, these were the first songs that I thoroughly listened to that weren't made after the year 2000. Growing up, the only music I'd listened to was what the car radio played. Usually this ended up being the big hits of the 2000s and early 2010s. Artists such as Taylor Swift, Maroon 5, and Imagine Dragons seemed to be constantly playing on the radio stations. The main music genres I would end up listening to were pop, country, with a bit of Christian and rock thrown in as well. So it was a big change of pace when I started listening to all these 70s rock and soul songs that appeared in my favorite movie. Marvin Gaye, Glenn Campbell, the Jackson 5, David Bowie, and the other artists that appeared in the soundtrack were now all creeping in my music taste. In the years that followed, rock and classic rock have become some of my most listened to genres of music. That can all be traced back to artists such as David Bowie, who gave me my first taste of rock music. The sequels of Guardians of the Galaxy have also helped me go back to these songs, as each time a new Guardians of the Galaxy movie comes out, I go back and listen to the soundtracks of these previous movies. As a result, songs such as Moon Age Daydream end up showing up in my yearly Spotify Wrapped. David Bowie not only had an influence on my music I now listen to, but he also had greatly influenced the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn. James Gunn has said on numerous occasions that David Bowie is one of his biggest idols and that David Bowie's album, Ziggy Stardust, is the greatest rock album of all time. This influence on Gunn can be clearly seen in his work, with the flair that James Gunn brings to his project being similar to that of David Bowie's flair. Many of James Gunn's characters that he's written have very lively and animated personalities reflected from David Bowie's own persona. David Bowie is also referenced multiple times in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, with the song Moon Age Daydream from the album Ziggy Stardust appearing in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the Guardians' new ship is called the Bowie. Due to James Gunn and the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, David Bowie's work and fame has been brought to a whole new generation of fans. I'm one of those fans, and songs like Moon Age Daydream are what brought me to David Bowie, but his vast library of other songs and albums have continued to bring me back to listen and discover more of his creations. The song Starman is one of my personal favorites of David Bowie that is in my constant rotation of songs that I listen to in the car. Maybe Fame will be the next song of David Bowie that will be added to my playlist, or maybe it'll be a different song from the Young Americans album. I guess the poster did its job advertising the new single Fame by David Bowie, even if the single is only still new to me. Author's note and bio. My name is Joshua Harvey. I'm a junior at the University of North Florida studying statistics and sport management. I did not really know what I wanted to write for my Voice of the People essay, so I looked through all the photos and images several times. The only thing that really stood out to me was the David Bowie poster, and that is just because I'm a fan of his music. I thought for a bit on how I would write a personal essay about this poster. Eventually I decided I should just write about how I started listening to his music. The short answer to how I started listening to David Bowie is Guardians of the Galaxy, but I needed to expand that thought by explaining the impact that the movie had on me in my music taste. The end result, I think, did a nice job blending the art piece of the poster with my personal story.
Traditionally, advertising is mainly a way to show products and services to people. Its main goal is to make people interested and buy things. Advertisers use different methods like convincing words, good design, and appealing to emotions to get your attention and make you take action. A good example of quick ads is the commercials you see during the Super Bowl. These ads are there just to get you to notice a brand at a televised event. Usually ads are short-lived and they only really serve one purpose for a short time. On the other hand, art covers lots of creative things like painting, music, literature, and more. Art goes beyond selling things and tries to share ideas, emotions, and experiences, often to make you think or feel deeply. Unlike ads, art is meant to last and engage people in a more meaningful way. Shows how advertising and art can come together. Its main job was to advertise a song, but it became something cultural and a symbol of artistic expression. This wasn't an accident, but was carefully thought out to have a big visual impact, cultural importance, artistic teamwork, emotional meaning, and a lasting effect. Art is about being creative, being important to culture, and deeply connecting with its people. Bowie's Fame poster, with its lasting artistic appeal, shows that change is possible. It makes us think about the line between advertising and art and suggests that they can work together to be even better. In the end, Bowie's Fame poster reminds us that art can come from surprising places, going beyond selling things and being creative. It asks us to think what art is, to see artistic power in advertising. For a long time, advertising and art were seen as different things, each with its own special purpose and looks. Advertising is usually linked with trying to get people to buy things, like products or services, while art often aims to make you think, feel, and reflect. However, there are times where these two worlds come together and mix, blurring the lines between selling stuff and being created. One example is David Bowie's poster for the song Fame. This is a perfect example when we wonder when ads. In 1975, David Bowie released his song Fame from his Young Americans album. To promote this song, Bowie and his creative team made a poster that later became famous. The poster shows Bowie in a powerful black and white photo taken by his close friend John Robert Rowlands. Bowie is walking away with his unique style and features. What makes this poster special is it's not just an ad to promote, but it's also its artistic qualities. The change of Bowie's Fame poster from a simple ad to a piece of art happened because of some factors. It had a big visual impact, cultural importance, artistic teamwork, emotional meaning, David Bowie's song Fame from 1975 talks about his complex relationship with fame and advertising. The song starts with the famous line, "Fame makes a man take things over," showing how the desire for fame can make people want power and fame in the industry. Bowie's lyrics explore the darker side of fame, how it can be lonely and harmful. The chorus, with its repeating fame, 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 shows how society is crazy about the celebrities and treat them like products for everyone to buy. Bowie working with John Lennon on this song adds some irony and self-awareness, as both of them knew the good and bad sides of fame. The lyrics also talk about identity, as Bowie deals with losing himself to the public opinion and the pressure to sell himself as an image. The song ends with, "Is it any wonder I reject you first?" which shows Bowie is disappointed with the shallow, image-driven world of fame. In the context of advertising the song, the lyrics challenge the industry that promotes it. Bowie's unique take on fame and the commercialization of identity connected with people, making it a big success while also criticizing and exploring the question of whether advertising can be considered art. I've had the privilege of talking about this topic with the listener. I hope this essay has provided you with a deeper understanding of the intersection between the commerce and creativity, and how advertising has evolved as a unique medium for artistic expression. While this essay has attempted to shed light on the artistic aspects of advertising, it is essential to acknowledge that this debate remains open-ended and subject to evolving perspectives. The definition of art itself is an ever-evolving conversation, and the commercial realm of advertising continue to adapt and redefine its boundaries. I encourage you to continue thinking about this fundamental question and to engage in conversations about the nature of advertising as an art form. Your thoughts and contributions to this discussion are invaluable as we collectively navigate the evolving landscape of creativity, commerce, and communication. Thank you for taking the time to explore this topic with me. Your curiosity and engagement are the driving force behind our exploration of these complex subjects.
Everybody wants to be famous. Flashing lights from the camera taking your photo, people are calling your name from every angle. You get to walk straight into a restaurant and not have to wait for a table. People adore you, but is it everything you've ever wanted? Once you became famous, some people enter your circle and begin to take over your life. You get famous and sure, you get the money and the love, but then you lose yourself and your creativity. People begin to release art solely to please other people's opinions and not to be unique. Is it worth it to become famous and gain that fame if you can no longer be authentic? You get famous for your creativity and your uniqueness, but then you continue to gain momentum and suddenly your every move is critiqued and you are no longer original. People begin to change the way you think and feel. Not everyone has an opinion on you, and now it is all you think about. David Bowie wrote the song Fame in 1975. He wrote this song in an attempt to show how fame is not what it seems. It shows how having celebrity status gets you luxuries, but it can also get you the horrors that come with that lifestyle. Bowie felt that during this era, people had the wrong perception of popularity. People began to do whatever to have that stardom status. This is not what being famous is about. He sensed that these people who lived their lives like this were incredibly unhappy. On the other hand, there are people who love the attention and bask in the famous status. Some people enjoy being loved, as it allows them to have the attitude of, oh, look at me, I'm so cool and famous. But Bowie disliked that. He did not enjoy the life of being controlled and having his art be controlled as well. Bowie had very bad management. He was being controlled and pulled in every way. His management essentially stole money from him. Due to this, he and his friend John Lennon felt that management was optional. Oftentimes, they would discuss how the idea of management made no sense. They both felt that fame took parts of their lives away. Lennon said that there was no such thing as good management in rock and roll. He then encouraged Bowie to go through his career without it. Bowie said in 2003 in an interview for Performing Songwriter magazine, "And I started to realize that if you're bright, you kind of know you're worth it. And if you're creative, you know what you want to do and where you want to go in that way. What extra thing is this manager supposed to do for you? If you know what you want to do, why have some random person holding you and your creativity down?" Bowie's thoughts on the subject of fame were, fame can take interesting men and thrust mediocrity upon them. Fame can change people's lives and oftentimes not for the better. Once you allow the power of fame to get to your head, it is no longer yours to control. You get overtaken by the money and love from people. You begin releasing art based on what other people want you to do and not what you want to do. But what you first got famous for is no longer what the people want. The people want to poke and prod you until you are no longer yourself. Like Bowie said, it will suck the creativity out of a person and make them just like anyone else. It makes them mundane and mediocre. The person who got famous for the weird and unique things they did is no longer around because they let fame overtake their life. A prime example of this is modern-day Hollywood is Britney Spears. She was controlled and was forced to do things according to her father and her management. This made her lose her mind. She was not able to release music like she wanted to or act and be her true, unique self. Being famous is great, but to an extent. Another example is Whitney Houston. She was an amazing singer who wanted so badly to get famous. Once she gained that fame, she turned to drugs because of all the influence around her. This unfortunately led to her death. At times, fame can lead people to do dangerous things. She was too far gone to pull herself out. Bowie wants to remind people to stay true to themselves. When Bowie released this song, he intended to release something that he knew other people were feeling. He wanted to share the truth of what it was like to be famous. The line in the song that says, "Fame, what you need, you have to borrow." He wrote this to show that even he had to borrow his ideas from others. Many famous people will go to others to borrow ideas or other items. Those people who are famous and have everything are the ones asking others to borrow money or things to help keep the facade up that they are the happiest they have ever been. He exposed the horrors of what it was like to be famous. He did not hold anything back and instead showed the world what it was like to be famous. It was not all luxury. He exposed what it was like to gain fame and what the true outcome was. His honesty about this lifestyle was refreshing to see in the industry, as everyone else held masks to their faces, trying to show they lived amazing lives. Bowie's work is loved by people everywhere. This song deserves to be appreciated to the highest ability. This song showed the realities of what it was like to be famous back then, and I believe that this song could be a great eye-opener to some famous people today. They need to understand that to be famous, it is not necessary to lose yourself and your creativity with it as well. Bowie wanted to be his authentic self and did not want people to forget it. His work should be honored even to this day after his passing. Always stay true to yourself and remember why you started. Author's bio. Vanessa Santos is a 19-year-old second-year student at the University of North Florida. Her major is political science with a minor in leadership. She comes from a Puerto Rican family that lives in Hollywood, Florida. That is where she was raised and born. Vanessa enjoys reading rom-coms and watching them in her free time. She thoroughly enjoys writing creative nonfiction essays as well. She hopes to work as a political scientist or be a part of a political campaign one day.